What do we call this place?
Church.
Church, right? Okay, we call this place the church. What is another word for church? Remember I told you on this?
Temple.
Yeah, temple. Okay, good. What else do we call it? What is the meaning of the word church? It means assembly, right? So what does assembly mean?
Like we all come together.
We all come together like a gathering, right? So that's why we call it church, because we are assembled in church. We all come together in church. What does the word Catholic mean? The word Catholic?
We are baptized.
Universal.
It means universal. So when we say we belong to the Catholic Church, it means we belong to the universal church. You remember what universal means? All over the world, universe, because it's the whole universe, right? This is why the Mass, as far as we are concerned, we are Catholic, we belong to the Roman Catholic Church. The Mass, you can go to the church anywhere where it's a Roman Catholic Church, the Mass will be the same. Just like you go to McDonald's and you order a Big Mac, you know exactly what you're getting. Okay, it's called a rite. Okay, we perform rites. Rites comes from the word ritual. You know what a ritual is? When you do the same thing over and over again, that's a ritual, correct? So now we're going to enter the church. What is the first thing we see when we enter the church?
Cross.
I know, but what's the first thing we see when we enter? The holy water. Okay, what else is that called?
Baptismal.
It's called the baptismal font. Okay, font.
I remember this time when you said that the church was shaped like the cross.
It is. If you look at the church, especially this church, is shaped exactly like a cross. Okay, but the first thing we come to is the baptismal font, correct? Okay. So when we see the baptismal font, the word F-O-N-T, font, comes from the word fountain. Exactly. So what's a fountain? What does a fountain do?
Water.
It gives us water. What does water do?
Clean us.
It cleans us, and what else does it do?
Refreshes.
It refreshes us. So when we think of water, because we are in America, and we can just open up the tap and we have like tons and tons of water and we waste so much water. But you know when you're living in the desert, and in those days there were no cars and buses and trains and trucks and ships and automobiles, and you're traveling in the desert, guess what happens when you have no water there and you don't have no transport? What happens to you? You can get dehydrated, but what else could happen to you? You could die. So to us, water is just like, we take it for granted, right? But in the desert, it's a matter of life and death. So that's how serious water is, okay? So water was very, very important to the Jews in the Old Testament. And so when Jesus said, I'm the living water, guess what? To us it says, oh, okay, living water. What's the big deal about living water? But you know, to the Jews, they would understand what living means. Living to them meant what? It meant life or death, okay? And that's why Jesus used that term living water. Do you understand? Okay. Okay. So when we come and we enter the church, okay, the first thing we do is we dip our fingers in the font, which is a living water. And what do we do with that? We make the sign of the cross, right? So why are we making the sign of the cross? What is it? Is it a symbol? Or it's a symbol, right? We say it's a symbol, but what is it symbolizing? What is it there to remind us about? Yeah, no, it symbolizes, first of all, that, what does it remind us of? It would remind us of what? When you deal with water, what do you associate water with? With what? It would be reminding us of baptism, right? Right? Because we got baptized into Christ, right? So the first thing that we do when we make the sign of the cross, we are reminding ourselves of our baptism. That now we belong to something, right? We belong to Christ, okay? It also is a symbol that we are showing veneration or adoration for the holy place that we are going to enter into, okay? And what else does it remind us of? So it reminds us of baptism. It's an outward show of reverence for us that we are showing to the house of the Lord. And in the olden days, remember when we were talking about the Jews when they had their homes? What would they have at the doorway? They would have that little hole in the ground, and what would they have in there? Water. And what would they do with that water? They would wash their feet, right? And then when they would walk into the house, okay, then the host would anoint them with oil, the head with oil. But now we don't need to do that, right? Because we have shoes on, but in those days they used to walk barefoot. So they would walk around and then all the dirt, and guess what? Since no cars, right? You ever think about this? No cars, right? So how did they travel?
Donkey.
On donkeys, what else?
By foot.
By foot, okay, so they are walking on foot and they have no shoes, right? Or sandals, or they're walking barefoot. Or if it's sandals, it's open-toed, right? So all the dirt can get on their feet. So now you have donkeys. What other animals do you think they would have around there? Horses, camels, cows, sheep, right? Guess what animals do after they eat? What do?
Sleep.
They sleep. What else do animals do?
They poopy.
They poopy, right? So guess what? Where are they pooping?
Everywhere.
Everywhere, right? So now the poop is on the road and it's getting mixed with the dirt, and now you're walking. So guess what happens? All the poopy gets on your feet, right? And this is the reason why people would wash their feet before they entered their house, because they didn't want to take all that poopy into their house.
But why
Do you understand?
why would they anoint them?
They would anoint them because, it's a symbol of peace. In the heat of the Middle East or the Palestine or Jerusalem area, the heat is extreme, so the oil helps to cool your head down. Okay? It also helps to keep flies away from you, so the flies keep buzzing around your head. And just imagine it. And if I know we don't have a lot of flies here, but sometimes when a fly gets close to us and it starts buzzing, it can drive us crazy, right? We're trying to kill that fly. Just imagine if you have 100 or so flies over there in the heat, and the fly is just constantly buzzing around the lamb's head. The shepherd would put oil on the lamb's head too. That would help keep the flies away. So the lamb would get peace, right? So now do we know why we have the baptismal font? It's there for us, to remind us for water for baptism. Also, we baptize babies in there. Or if we get an older person that wants to convert to Catholicism or to our beliefs, we baptize older people too. Okay? So let's go in there. We're going to make the sign of the cross. Okay? Come on.